And now, without further ado,
Yes.
our main topic, the meat and potatoes, the
Yes.
entree of the episode.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. It's early. I'm hungry.
Okay, so the off season, right?
Yes.
We, as of yesterday, today, the time of recording this is April 2nd. So we are entering in what's known as the Medicare off season. Let me explain. There's 2 enrollment periods over the time of the year, right? You have OEP January 1st through March 31st. And while you cannot market OEP compliantly, it's not against the rules. You can't do it. You can't put out an advertisement that says, hey, it's OEP, call me and get your plan changed. That's a freaking no-no, ladies and gentlemen. But it doesn't mean you can't market in general and use OEP as an opportunity to change people that can find themselves into a better plan. And then AEP, of course, the Wild Wild West, the circus, all of you guys know about AEP. The months in between, basically April 1st through the last day of September, is considered the off season. And there's just less people you can write. We talked on the pod about changes to the dual SEP that have allowed people to write a lot less people than they have in the past with the dual SEP. You can still write some people, but not even close to as many as you used to. Like it used to be once a quarter, anybody that had Medicaid of any kind, Medi-Cal in California, LIS, you could change once a quarter, no questions asked. Even if you weren't on Medicaid and you just had LIS, you could do it. That's not the case anymore. So off season, people are wondering, people are asking, how do I grow my business in the off season? Glenn, how do the people do it? How do the people grow their business in the off season?
Disaster SEP, you guys.
No!
Write that code, baby. Disaster SEP. We're staying busy all year long.
It's a joke. It's a joke, carriers. It's a joke. I promise.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what's funny is my first thought when I'm hearing this, so coming from the life side, being a full-time life insurance agent, there's no off season.
Right.
You are out there writing business every day, every week, every month, every year. And the idea of an off season is just such a wild concept. And I remember I had a lot of, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to add to that. Before Medicare Advantage was a thing too, for those of you, old guard that are still doing it, that are still doing it and haven't sold your books to us yet. But for those of you that are kind of
ESI.
ESI. Oh! No, but for those of you that are in that situation,
we're buying books.
God, this is a crazy episode.
This is what happens when we go early. It gets
a little wild. No, but for those of you that are around before Medicare Advantage became a thing, circa 2005, 2006, prior to that, that's kind of how it was for Medicare too. It was only MedSup. It was year round, right? There was no AEP. It was very much like that, year-round people on med subs. It was a very, from my understanding, I wasn't around then. I was a wee lad, but it was a very consistent flow of business that stayed the same pretty much all year. There was no up or down, busy season, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, there's still a lot of health agents and Medicare agents who don't participate in this seasonal cycle. I would say the majority do. I feel like the average Medicare agent will almost write no business until AEP, and then they'll really write, and then it's like, oh, Christmas, time to put my pen away for 8 months. Coming from the life side though is, and I did have, it is this kind of Bloods Crips thing, which the number of references to the Bloods Crips on this show is wild, but
yeah, the man who created the Crips. I'm sorry, I won't go down that rabbit hole. Continue.
I came into the Medicare side. I was fed a lot of misinformation about Medicare. So when I really started to get into the Medicare side of the business, I came into it and I was a little jaded. I didn't, there's no money in Medicare. You don't get paid as much when you're writing these policies. It's more service work, blah, 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 blah. Like all of these lies that's its own pod right there is, the lies about Medicare, the myths of Medicare that get pushed on life producers specifically because they don't want you to leave. They want you to stay in your life lane. So
stay on the hamster wheel, if you would.
Yes. Oh no. The hamster wheel. Any of you hamster? We got Chicken Littles. and we got hamsters. We got all sorts of it. It's like a farm in here.
I think we have the name of our audience.
I think we do.
No, just kidding. That's not the majority of you.
Chicks and hammies. Chicks and hammies. I came into this with the idea that there is no off season, right? When I finally did kind of make my transition into the Medicare space as an agent, and I was, at one point I'm offering essentially both. I'm not thinking about an off season ever. If anything, I'm just thinking about what's my primary offer, or what is my focus this month or this week, and I'm just literally, that's it. So this idea that a lot of, I don't know if you want to speculate on, what percentage of agents take the off season off, but I would assume it's the majority of Medicare agents, right?
Well, when it comes to speculation, I'm told that's all we do on this podcast. The shots never stop. No, I was happy to speculate. I would say definitely the majority. I would say that more agents just chill and don't work as hard as they need to, or they should be, in my opinion, during the off season as they do during the rest of the year. There's a lot of agents I know that just hang out, and then they show up, and then they show up for AEP. But those agents never really win in a big way. You know what I mean? I've never seen an agent that does that they're like they've built a massively successful business. I've just never seen it. They just kind of like float through life like butterflies. Average to mediocre business. Sorry to say, it's just, name me one thing you can do 2 months a year and be exceptional at it.
Great point, especially with the number of changes that happen in our space. If you look at, I can't imagine unplugging for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
If you're working AEP and you're doing a little bit of OEP and then you're just completely disassociating for the rest of the year, like how can you possibly be as good as the agency across the street or across your city or state, whatever, and they're fully locked in all year long? They're writing policies all year long. They're already going to be up to date with the changes. They're going to overcome any hurdles, and they'll be right, rocking and ready to go. Your ramp time, your prep time, getting back into the swing of things, going into AEP is going to cost you. Something that I feel like we've talked about, but this is important to me, is like, I feel like my day-to-day, it's very much so momentum. It's very similar to sports, where it's like you watch a game, it could be any game, football, basketball, soccer, whatever. One team will start to get the momentum. They get the steal, they make the pass, they get the basket, and then all of a sudden they get 2 more, and it starts to swing. The pendulum starts to swing. That's how it is for my personal work day to day too. I get one thing done, get another thing done. Here's another thing that I got done. Just get through another meeting. If I were to just put a hard stop, a hard break on that, I just feel like it feels like a death sentence. It really does. It feels like you're killing your business. So yeah, I hate it. I hate this off-season idea. I understand why it's structured the way it is and why we call it the off-season, but I hate that there's these agents that are like, all right, see you in September. Deuces, I'm out.
I think that's such a good point, and I totally agree with you. And I'm the same way for sure. Like, you get into a rhythm, if you will,
flow state,
and you're knocking things out, and things build into other massive opportunities.
Yes.
Even if it might seem like a insignificant thing that you're getting done, it can snowball into something much bigger because you're putting that compounded time in over the course of the year. And it is a thing where it's like, in anything that you're doing, it could be sports, it could be business, anything like that. But like, if you're starting and stopping, like you look at an athlete, right, that's like consistently not playing because of injury or something like that. Like by the time they come back, usually they're rusty and they're not good for a while, and they have to play back into that consistency and that rhythm. And that's a real thing. I think in anything that you do, I think one of my mentors early on told me one time, he said, anything worth doing is worth doing every day. And I'm like, I that really stuck with me, because it's just one of those things that if you are out of rhythm like that, your business just doesn't have the opportunity to really grow. We talk a lot about pipeline too. Filling your pipeline, that's a big part of it too, right? Like a lot of times you fill your pipeline, and a lot of times the people that have a pipeline, like they have certain amounts of people in there that they've been kind of working with and following up with and keeping up with for a pretty good period of time, sometimes months. maybe even sometimes years if someone's continuing to work, right? Like, and then they come back later. Like you consistently working, the compounding effects of keeping your pipeline full and filling that pipeline, I don't think can be overstated at all.
Totally agree.
I want to make sure we have time, to talk about though, like what do agents need to do to win in the
Let's salute. I was literally about to cut you off to be like, I feel like we've really addressed the problem. Let's talk about the solution. What if this is your first off season as an example, and you're like, what do I do? How do I stay busy?
So the first thing you need to do is you need to identify who can you write. We talked yesterday on the pod, like targeting the appropriate demographic. First off, who can you write? There's two people there's two types of people I would say that overwhelmingly are going to make up who you can write right now. You're going to have people that qualify for SCPs, they move, things like that, but you can't build a business off of those. You can't rely off of those. The main two people probably to target are going to be Tier 65 people and Medicare supplement people that want to have their rates revisited and have their rates lowered and their policy rewritten. Those would be probably the two cornerstones, I guess, of your off-season attack. Probably T65 more than anything else. There's 12,000 people nowadays turning 65, and that demographic is just booming. And, there's nothing quite like T65 business. I mean, if you get a client that is 65, it's probably the most valuable client in the Medicare space you can have because they're younger, they're going to be around longer. If you take good care of them, the chances of them staying with you long-term are very high opposed to, if you do a plan change. So I think that's probably the main business I would be targeting right now. The next question kind of comes down to what type of lead sources. Someone posted in the Facebook group yesterday, what are people doing for lead sources right now? My response was the Holy Trinity: lead heroes, so telemarketed leads, preset appointments, those kind of things, seminars, and Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything you can do that doesn't fit in one of those categories in a really big way? I don't think so. And there's other things you can do that are sprinkled in for sure. But like, if you want predictable lead flow, someone commented to me and they were like, Facebook ads suck. I'm like, well, you just must suck at them. Like, what do you mean? We're running. How many Facebook ads are we running right now?
Today. An incredible. And honestly, yesterday I was thinking about it.
Well, they're bad, Glenn. They're bad.
I want to deploy more. I want to deploy more. I was even thinking about it yesterday. I think there's a lot more advertising we can do. Yeah, I think if you're saying Facebook ads suck, one is you probably went all in on Facebook ads. Again, I'm thinking the average agent, right? You took your $500 in marketing, you crammed it all through Facebook. Maybe you just tried to do a copy, like a cookie cutter copy of someone else's ad. It didn't really go how you wanted to. You only got, 15, 20% of people to pick up the phone. You didn't make any sales. That happens. So it's more about how do you build a strategy? How do you build a target